Welcome to the Amazing Truth Podcast, a podcast where we focus on real issues and have real talk, and as always, provide a biblical perspective. We hope that you will be blessed as you listen.
Welcome to the Amazing Truth Podcast. It's yet another episode. But before we begin, this is the Amazing Truth Minute.
This is the Amazing Truth Podcast. The Amazing Truth Podcast. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and Stitcher. Like us on Facebook at the Amazing Truth Podcast. The Amazing Truth Podcast. Real issues, real talk.
So as we begin this episode, I want to ask you 4 questions. It's already January 20th. And you probably must have made some resolutions. You probably must have rededicated your life to God, to your spouse, to your job, or to whoever you feel indebted to. So I want to ask you 4 questions. Number 1, what is one good thing that God did in your life last year? Number 2, what are 2 things you did right to grow closer to God last year? And what are 3 things that God got into the way of your walk with God last year? And what are 4 things you will do this coming year to strengthen your walk with God? So it's never too late to have a closer walk with God. It's never too late to make anew those vows that God has given you. So as you ask yourself those questions, I want to leave you with a quote. That God knows what you're ready for. He knows what your arms are able to carry. He knows what your heart can contain. He knows what's coming, and He knows how and when to prepare you for it. He knows the right time, the right place, the right person, the right answer. He knows, so you don't have to. And that is the Amazing Truth Minute.
The Amazing Truth Podcast. Real issues, real talk.
Once again, welcome to yet another new episode. This is Season 2, Episode 3. And we are thankful for the support you've given us so far for the 2 episodes that have aired already. And we want to continue that series. From where we left off. And if you haven't listened to the episodes from last week, please go to Spotify, Google, and now we're on YouTube. Go to YouTube and search the Amazing Truth Podcast. We have those podcasts there, so you can listen to them and give your feedback. Most of all, leave a comment and give us a like. And most of all, subscribe so we can reach more people with this amazing ministry. Now, I'll give you a little snippet of what what we had last week. And as if you were keen to listen to both episodes, there was something that was mentioned. Something by the name endometriosis. Right, Nancy?
Yes.
Endometriosis. And I asked myself, what is endometriosis? My wife mentioned it, but I didn't know what that was. And we thought it's something that we need to look into. When women's issues are raised, you got to deal with them, right?
Yep.
And so we have 2 guests that are going to talk about endometriosis. And we want to kind of dig deep into it. And Ezra is here to help me through that. So before we jump into the podcast for today, let me have them introduce themselves. We'll start with the lady.
My name is Beryl, and I'm glad to be here.
All right, that's Beryl. Beryl is the wife to
Ezra
Yes.
is my name. I am co-host of Amazing Truth Podcast, but this time I'm on this other side.
Yes.
So like you guys are AKA Obikos, we are AKA the Moraras.
The Moraras. Yes.
Yes.
Right. So on a serious note, we are thankful for those that have listened and those that have given their feedback, those that have shared their story and have related to the podcast and the episode so far. So Beryl, you mentioned endometriosis, and Nancy mentioned endometriosis, and we thought it's best for us to have you here to kind of shed more light on it. And as we go into the story, we'll know why you are our guest today. So, what is endometriosis, and when did it start?
I think, can I jump in? I'm sorry that I'm already
Ezra, you're too.
my other side has already kicked in.
I was going right in.
Exactly, right? I'm curious to hear what Nancy thought when she heard that in the
Right.
hospital.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, the first time I heard about endometriosis is the time that I had surgery. So after my doctors did the surgery for the fibroid, they call it myomectomy surgery. So they removed the huge fibroid that I had. It was 8 centimeters. And then when I was in the recovery room, the doctor came and told me that the surgery was successful, and he did see endometriosis. But then the way he was telling me, it's like it was there, but it's nothing to worry about at the moment. So at that time, I didn't think much about it because I had a huge road to recovery after the surgery. So I didn't think much about it because the doctor didn't think it was anything serious. So, but now that I know I have more information, I feel like prior to the surgery, the symptoms I had could have been helped after the myomectomy, after they removed the fibroid, because I haven't had any symptoms since then.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. So, Beryl, but I want to ask a question. I mean, I think this is a question we should have asked when we did the last 2 podcasts. First of all, what is this information? How is this information going to be helpful? Mm-hmm. First of all, we're talking about endometriosis, but I know we hadn't planned for this. But how is this information helpful, and who do you hope this information will reach out to?
I think I'll speak from how I have experienced it. Mm-hmm. I came to know about this because someone else went out and said about their challenges, spoke about their challenges, spoke about their story. Mm-hmm. So that's when I could relate. I asked myself, well, I'm going through similar symptoms. Maybe it could be the same thing. Okay. So I think just to jog people's minds and direct them to the right places and offer resources if need be.
Mm-hmm. Right, yep. Right. Yeah, so we hope that we will understand what endometriosis is, how you have managed it, and the resources that are out there. So we're ready to jump in now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Don't ask me much on that. All I can tell you is that I'm part to say my part where I support.
Okay.
And help and all that. But
so, Beryl, so when did you first notice that things are different?
I think it would do more justice to just explain how my childhood has been.
Right.
So for me, not to go too far, but I grew up in the coastal areas of Kenya, very active child, very happy child, I believe. I come from a family of siblings of, I have 3 siblings, 1 sister and 2 brothers. This is important to know because of some part of the story to kind of note that I have a sister in the mix. So for me, I did go through childhood as a normal child, but like any other girl, I started menstruating at the age of 13. So at the age of 13, I started menstruating. Nowadays, people actually start menstruating at a very early age. I hear people start menstruating at an age of 9 years old. So for me, I started at the age of 13, and it was a smooth sailing road, if I would say, looking back. So 13 years, smooth sailing road, 14, smooth sailing road, until I hit the the mark in age 15. When I got to 15 years old, I noticed something was very different in terms of the severity of the pain. Of course, I was being told that pelvic pain during menstrual period is normal. So I didn't know what normal meant. So perhaps maybe you had to figure it out by yourself. So at the age of 15 is when I started experiencing severe pains. That's as far as I can remember. And when I got to Form 4, you call it grade what here?
12th grade.
Grade 12, yeah. Sorry, that was in Kenya. So when I got to 12th grade, my only prayer was that, Lord, please help me to be able to carry through my exams successfully. So I was able to carry through my exams successfully. Of course, I finished high school. Campus was really tough, really tough with pains. I was in and out of classes. And I had roommates. Surprisingly, I had roommates who had it very easy. And I knew at the back of my head that something was not right. Every time I called my mom and I was in pain, she said, okay, try this drug, try this other one. And I saw that my sister didn't have the same pains. So I wondered, why am I different? Right. My roommates didn't have the same pain. So, and my mom kept saying, okay, just persevere, this would go when you get married. So every time I had this statement, it will go away when you get married. So I thought it's a normal pain. So for me, like any other girl who really looks forward to marriage, for me, I think my biggest motivation for marriage was to get rid of this pain because it was incapacitating pain. It was progressive. So
I do remember, like growing up, a friend of mine who lives in Canada, I've known her for over 20 years. She also has severe, like really bad pain, even though she's tried to get a diagnosis for endometriosis, but they keep saying she doesn't have it. But I do remember growing up, and we all used to hear that, you know, once you get married, the pain is going to disappear. She got married, she has 3 kids, and the pain has never gone away.
Wait, can I ask a question? I know I'm here on the other side, but these are women issues, and I cannot be on the other side.
Yeah.
So is this a normal thing that people are always told, girls or women are always told that when, you know, as men, we never know that that's what ladies are being told. Is it a normal thing
Like
that girls are told that, you know, when you're struggling and you're going through your cycle, that men are the answer to that? Is that a thing, or is it just too specific?
I think it's a cultural thing. I would say that because I don't know any other way to describe it, because and I think they relate it to childbirth, that once you have kids, the pain is going to go away. Some people it goes away. Some friends have shared that it does go away. Some people say it doesn't. So I think it's 50-50.
I'd say it could be culture, and it could also be the fact that we just don't have the information because research, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but research has shown that African doctors, as they are trained, gynecologists, as they are trained in the medical field, they are told, let me say quote unquote, that this disease is, it's not existing in Africa. So Africans were just told, man yourself up and deal with the pain. It will go away when you get married. But for me, it didn't. I really looked forward to getting married, and especially my periods were supposed to come on my wedding day. And I told them it's either this wedding will not happen or something needs to be done. I had to be given a drug to postpone my periods. Then marriage came. I waited.
So what were you dreading the most, the pain or?
Me, I was excited about the wedding.
For me, I was dreading the pain because the pain incapacitates me. Yes, because can never do anything.
So Beryl, as you go back to marriage, when you were growing up, you went to college, did you seek any medical help, or you're just taking pain pills for the pain during your month?
So you've been told it's normal.
Okay.
You also think and feel that it's normal.
Right.
And
right.
we are in an African society where, and it's not just Africa, but mothers or aunties or just the society tells you that it's normal. So you don't, I had this instinct that something isn't quite right, but because
again,
I'm told it's normal, I didn't seek medical advice or anything.
So you get married and you hope that Ezra comes with a magic pill.
Yes, the savior.
Ezra comes with a magic pill.
Actually, for me, in my head, when they spoke about marriage, I thought it's the intimacy that was supposed to solve, that was the magic pill.
I mean, actually, that's a good question. When they say that,
I know,
what in
what
marriage is supposed to solve it? Is it the intimacy?
For
Is
me,
it
what
the
I've been told is when you have like the labor pain, I think
Again, kids.
takes
Yeah.
takes
So-
that pain away.
So it's
it
look
could be-
at us,
You're
Ezra,
trying
trying to
For me, I was so naive. I
Right.
thought I was so naive. And for those listening this, it's true that I was so naive. I knew that it was the intimacy part that was going to resolve this. So month 1, month 2, this pain, and it was progressing. So I called my
It
mother.
got worse
you know-
every
I'm
month.
like, in fact, I even told myself that Ezra's system completely refused my system. because the pain that I had the first month after we got married, it was worse. I threw up. I was
Oh my
feeling
goodness.
dizzy. I was having a running stomach. It was so much worse than what I had experienced in the previous years. So for me, and I'd say it took time to kind of figure it out and really join the pieces and realize that people were actually talking about labor pains and getting pregnant. And so getting to that point, I told myself, really,
Pause, baby, wait. You know, you've said things. Even me, my mind is running now. I need to pause here. But I think this is why we're doing this.
Yeah.
Is because for me as the husband, I'm just there. Like I don't know. This lady has been going through all this in her lifetime. I have no understanding of. I am supposed to be the savior, the answer in this moment. And again, I think this is very critical and crucial because before people get married, this is what we talk about marriage counseling. It's very important because one of the topics that is supposed to be covered in marriage counseling is what? Is sexuality, you know, they talk about finance, they talk about all these. Actually, I remember a story, my wife told me that I think it's around that time she's going through his, when the doctors, no, is it your doctors or your friends? I can't remember who it is that told you that you need to take your meds.
it's a friend of mine who is a doctor.
Who's a doctor. So says that she needs to, I don't know all this time that she's taking these pills to.
On the day of her wedding.
Listen, man, I'm there. I'm all I'm thinking is verses in the Bible.
Otherwise,
right?
that wedding wouldn't have happened.
You know, I'm just thinking verses. But actually, I remember going to the store with her, and she's asking. She laughs about this because I'm like, what are we going to buy? For what? And like, we need to see a guy now. Who?
Who is a gyna?
Why am I? First of all, that word, I did it in an exam. Probably I failed when the question was a gynecologist, right? So I'm sitting there and I'm like, so finally, the need for us to see a gynecologist. But I'm in my mind, for what? As far as I'm concerned, I'm normal. You know, at that point, you're like, are you okay? You know, so we're just bringing this to light to say that you don't have to be sick to go to be checked out.
Gynecologist.
You know, and these things. So for me, I'm there. I'm green cannon. So she's throwing up. She's going through this. Now I want to learn more. Even me, I'm learning.
And one thing that is important to point out is it's her wedding. It's her marriage. She's gotten into marriage.
Yes.
But in her mind, she's thinking about this pain and she wants to get rid of it. I mean, did you enjoy there was the bliss
wedding
of
day?
the wedding day, the bliss of marriage after that. I mean, I can only imagine that all you wanted to get rid of is ancestors towards the pain.
I mean, Kenan, I was told to take a pill that would postpone my period. So I was good on my wedding day. Okay. I was good. Otherwise, that
perfect.
wedding wouldn't have happened. But then a month down the line, 2 months into marriage, you're really looking forward to having this pain go away completely. And it's because of ignorance. You've been told it's normal.
Right. Again, normal.
Marriage will sort out all your problems. I mean, so
I'm just curious.
And I'm having severe pain, extreme pains,
Progressive pain.
Yes, more than what I had before. Right. So I'm throwing up. I am having running stomach. I am almost passing out. And let me say that these sessions are informative, are educative. Mm-hmm. Let's not remain in the space where we are. Pain is not normal. Mm-hmm. And a child is not a pill. Mm-hmm. You cannot just, it's not something you can take and just say the pain goes away.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm mad or have questions to these moms, this older generation. Mm-hmm. I'm curious. I wish we could have some of them here to sit and say their experience, if like they were ever told that. And then when they got married, did it go away? Yeah. Because maybe it's our generation of men.
That's true.
Because that is something that can be handled. Now, we're not even talking about the situation alone. I can go back and even go back to the last week podcast when you're talking about things, and I'm wondering that where do we get that solid information that can help you avoid going through these situations and scenarios? Because you're finding it through trial and error. You're going through these pains by yourself. So you have social pain, emotional pain, and all these aspects. But I'm curious. The point I'm just driving home, it's like, I'm curious for me, because does it mean the previous generation, their problems went away after they got married, and that's why they're telling the younger generation that?
Yeah,
I think it's because they didn't know any better, mm-hmm. and they learned to wing it and just go about their day-to-day activities. And if you think about like the ladies who are like in the village, mm-hmm. for example, mm-hmm. they are the ones who do all the hard work. Mm-hmm. They wake up, like if they're in bed, if they're bed-ridden, it means everything will come to a standstill. Mm-hmm. Kids will not eat. Mm-hmm. The cows will not be
milked, taken care of.
So the women, I believe, they just learn to wing it and, herbs and that kind of stuff. And I think because they didn't know any better, mm-hmm. they told us, it will go away, hoping and believing and praying that we will not have to go through the same thing.
Yeah, and I think too that maybe someone went through it, mm-hmm. and they probably had kids, mm-hmm. and the pain went away.
And for them,
and that worked. And I'm thinking too, for us, we have, like, I can sit down with my wife and we can talk about
mm-hmm.
women issues. Mm-hmm. Back then, our dads didn't even mm-hmm. go to the hospital mm-hmm. when you were born. Yeah. So I think it was a different, maybe cultural it worked. Society. And then, Now going back to Beryl. So now you got married, the pain is progressive. Do you now, because the pain is not normal, right?
Yeah.
Now, do you seek professional help? Do you go get a diagnosis? Tell us more about that.
So after marriage, when the pain became progressive, that's where now the journey began. I didn't know that's where the journey would begin, but 3 months into marriage, we got married in Kenya. Ezra had taken a sabbatical leave. He came to Kenya after the wedding. He stayed for 3 months. After 3 months, he came back to the US. Then he landed like on a Friday. On a Monday, we were on phone talking, and I just had some certain sharp, sudden, severe pain on my right side. And as in, we were on phone, then he hung up to call someone else, and by the time I'm calling him back, I'm in tears and in so much pain. I can't even, I can't stand up. I can't lie down. I was in so much pain and I didn't know what was going on. at that point now things started going downhill. So he actually pulled his resources together, called whoever he can call, and then I was rushed to hospital. What they found from there onward, that was the beginning of this whole journey. They found a ruptured cyst.
Can I? Okay, go ahead.
Ezra, we are engrossed in this.
I was gonna add juice to it. Juice to it, but let her go there.
So I'm in hospital, not knowing what's happening. First of all, the doctors are running up and down, trying to find out what's going on. The first question they ask you, of course, are you pregnant? I'm like, I'm not pregnant. Please try and do something else. Yeah, so they do all the tests, and then they find that I have a ruptured cyst that was bleeding. Then they quickly admit me. And at that point, there's a lot of confusion. Ezra is not around. I am just 3 months old into marriage. The only people I have around was my sister and my brother in the city. My parents are far away. And it caused a lot of panic. I think for me, from there onwards, my life as I knew it ended or changed.
Okay. Wow.
As in, it literally changed. Everything just started going downhill.
This is the Amazing Truth Podcast. The Amazing Truth Podcast. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and Stitcher. Like us on Facebook at The Amazing Truth Podcast. The Amazing Truth Podcast. Real issues, real talk.
So we are talking about endometriosis, and we have Beryl and Ezra kind of giving us light towards that. And before the break, her life as she knew it changed. Changed for the better, changed for the worst. We don't know. In this second half, I think we'll talk about your diagnosis, how your life changed, and what is endometriosis, and what do we need to know about it. So your life changed. How so?
It's usually challenging to decode this, but so I'm in hospital. The doctors are saying that this cyst is very small, they can't remove it. And then I'm discharged from hospital.
So it ruptured, but it was still there?
Yeah. So they just say, give you painkillers, the system will clear itself. So I go back home, and it's just pain every single day. Ezra has to come back to Kenya, and then we started seeking help. One doctor after the other, one gynecologist after the other. Then there's this gynecologist we went to see, and he did tests in his office and found a chocolate cyst. So I've come to realize that the chocolate cyst maybe was like a light bulb for him to kind of make his suspicions so that we don't continue figuring out what's going on. So he quickly made a referral and told us it could be that you have endometriosis. So he referred us to a different doctor. When we went to that doctor, the first thing he said, we have to go into surgery. And Ezra didn't like that approach.
Yeah, Ezra.
Well, he didn't like that approach because...
I mean, can I defend myself?
And before you do, let's put a perspective into, not to bash my country, but Kenyan surgeries. In Kenya, when you hear surgery, you probably don't know if you're going to make it out of it. You're asking, is this the last option? I mean, surgeries in Kenya are...
And I think that's you're already speaking my language.
Right.
You know, I'm used to a place where I don't pay consultation before I'm seen.
Yeah.
But I've just gone there. The first thing you've asked me is for money. The next thing you're saying we're going for surgery. And I'm saying, how did you even diagnose all these? Now, of course, ignorance. At that point, now you'll get to hear the story. It's part of ignorance. But you know, it's. Remember I told you guys before the wedding, My wife tells me we see a gyna. Now I'm a regular in gynas. Now I'm there.
Kenan was a regular
You're
too.
regular there.
Actually,
They knew
like
us.
the moment we walk in,
I said,
they
okay,
know
I'll
us
check
by
to
name.
him. You're good.
Need to have a permanent room.
Yep. When we go there, they are like, "Oh, we've missed you guys. Where have you been? Missed you? You're pregnant again?" We are regulars.
VIPs there, man, right? But I think it's important to celebrate this moment. It's
Yeah.
important to celebrate this moment because there is a generation mindset shift and change.
Yeah.
I think going back to this, going back to our moms, going back to our grandmas, we love them. Maybe Beryl doesn't end up where she is if the approach is very different, right?
Yeah.
And we're not saying she ended up there because of ignorance or anything. We're just saying maybe we don't know. Say there's that phrase they use is hindsight 50-50 or 2020 whatever 50-50 math numbers anyways. So but now when I went back, granted, let's put everything to perspective. It's the first year of marriage. It's
I think it's the
3
first
months.
3 months.
Five.
3 months.
Yeah,
Yeah.
3 months.
3
then
months.
You come back.
The call I get
5
is
months.
like, she's been rushed to hospital. She has a cyst. I'm like, who? Who's that?
What's a cyst?
What is that? Right? I start to Google, and I'm like, you just go into these, and just when I was listening to your story last time, it's like the first year of marriage. It's like you're there, you're supposed to be enjoying. So I mean, we see all these gynas. We go from one person to another, and finally we get this guy. So I don't remember what happened. So I'll let her continue.
Please. So you agreed to go into surgery.
So I'm the patient here, so I was trying to be very gracious to all this with all these doctors. My husband
Your husband
needs
was
a
a
little
doctor
bit
too?
of help
Oh.
in that area of patients. So we walk into this office and the doctor says, you need surgery. So at first, okay, let me give him a benefit of doubt because I was equally shocked. Later on, we learned that that's the only way you can diagnose endometriosis. So we walked out of that office.
Maybe you could have done a better job
That's
of explaining to you
exactly.
guys that
You-
that's
Yeah.
the only way to diagnose.
Yeah.
You probably have this condition. It's called endometriosis. How we find out for sure? You go to, as we walk in, like you're going to surgery. I'm like,
Exactly.
I didn't even carry a
You
bag.
have endometriosis, you're going into surgery.
I didn't even plan for this. And we're going to a surgery. Anyways. Yeah. So I think that was the problem, Nancy. That's why I reacted.
Yeah, so we walked out of that office. I think we had despaired and we just went back home and said, okay, let's manage this pain as we can in our heads. We didn't discuss it. So in the wee hours of the night, every time I'm in pain, we rush to hospital. That was the cycle. And of course, every single day you are Googling, what is this cyst? How can it be cured? Natural remedies. Of course, the mothers, the aunties have sent all these herbs.
Man, we had what do you call vibui? We had containers.
Jerrycans.
You have medicine come from Kisi land, then you have skunk from Luo land, then from Luya land, because everyone wants the best, and everyone is trying to cure, and there's the traditional herbs and all that stuff. So I became an expert in traditional medication. The one who was a herbalist.
So I think while in Kenya, the church, I was fellowshipping in a very big church, and for some reason, by default, when people get married, youths, when we get married from that church, we kind of take a sabbatical leave from going to that church. So at the moment, we were going for services in 2 different churches. So this one day we found ourselves, as in God, we found ourselves at the right place at the right time. So there was this afternoon program, and there was this lady who came and shared her story. She explained about endometriosis, and that was the first time I was hearing about it. When I listened to the symptoms, I was curious. I'm like, this is exactly everything that I have gone through in life. So I walked up to her later, and she said, you know what? I think you could actually be having endometriosis. Then she gave me contacts to her doctor. So I didn't go to the doctor. Ezra, I was still in pain constantly. After some time, I felt better. Ezra came back to the US. Then, when I was just about to come to the US, I told myself, medical care is so expensive in this country. Let me try and seek help in Kenya and see if I can find help. So I went to the doctor. This lady who referred me to her doctor is called Hadassah, editor. So I went to the doctor. He explained what endometriosis is and ways of management. He explained everything. And that laparoscopy, which is the surgery, is the only way you can diagnose endometriosis. So he said, we'll have to go to the theater. So booked an appointment, went to the theater, and I'm thankful for friends because at that point, Ezra was not there. My friends were there from the beginning to end. They took me when I was being wheeled in. When I came out, I saw a different set of friends, as in like they were working in shifts. And then some of them moved into my house because I was living by myself. Of course, Ezra is not there. So the doctor did the surgery and, of course, found endometriosis. So you are relieved that at least something has been found.
To explain the pain.
Yeah, but again, now the journey begins.
Wow, Ezra, add something, and then I want Beryl to tell. I mean, we want us to go through the symptoms. We want to talk about the symptoms, but in your perspective, kind of what symptoms you went through and how are you managing this, and kind of wrap it up with resources. So, Ezra.
Yes.
Now,
I'm there.
First of all, let's we don't want to forget the boy child.
The
right?
boy child. Oh, boy
Let's
child.
talk about the boy child. So, in a few sentences, I mean, let's just if you're just tuning in, they just got married. This is 5 months into their marriage. 5 months, give or take, very young in their marriage. Ezra, they get married in Kenya. Ezra flies back to the US, gets a call, wife is sick. At this point, they don't know the diagnosis now. And now he goes back. You're far away. You're getting all this. I'm just painting this in our heads, in my head as well. You come back as a man now. Two questions I have for you. Now, what is your view of marriage at this point? Wait. And then she obviously had support at home. What kind of support did you get? First of all, what is your view of marriage at this time in light of what's happening?
Listen, man, you know those vows when you stand there and you say for what?
For better or for
For
worse.
better or for worse.
For rich
right?
or for poor.
For rich or for poor. You know, the
Sickness
rich part I
and
did not understand. The poor part I understood that, right? So I was aspiring to the rich part. And then for health,
for sickness and in health.
Sickness and in health. That part, I have lived it, right?
Yeah.
I have lived it. I think for me, it's, that recently, actually it's yesterday, my wife told me, can we just exchange our bodies for one day? And I jokingly said, yeah, the only fear I have is that you will not return my body.
I like that.
The only fear. Because what I've seen her go through, the moment it dawned to me, like, whoa.
The relief.
It's she'll have relief, but am I ready? I celebrate women, man. You have to celebrate women. I think that
before we started recording, we mentioned that for us, we cry when we have a cold.
We have a cold.
You guys become babies.
Every man is sick. 911.
So think about you as in pain for every month for how many days? Oh,
listen,
man. This species will be gone.
I know. We're already endangered. It will die completely, right? But I think for me it was. I don't know. At this point, I don't know what's going on. Quite frankly, because it's like, it's one thing after another. I'm not breathing through it. And you're new. Your folks still are detaching from you. They still see you as a parent, Her folks are still, so you're feeling like you have to consult everyone. And, I was forced to grow up and become an adult instantly.
Faster.
Faster.
Yeah,
exactly.
Not to cut you short, but I remember when we were deep in the whole treatment thing, I remember Kenan telling me, I've never really had to go through anything tough like this in my life. And that put me into a reflective mode. I felt so bad having to put him through all that. So I understand.
Listen. And I think when you guys do feel bad for us, it makes us even feel
Worse.
even worse.
Yeah.
So you don't even want to show up that you're strong and and all that. But I even forgot what you asked. In a nutshell, at this point,
Exactly. And at that point, that is exactly what I was going for. At that point, you don't know what's going on.
I don't know what's going on. I'm just there.
You're just there.
I'm trying to be the supportive husband. I'm trying,
yes.
and I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful. Two things I'm hoping for at this point is that, one, when you get to the US, there is better resources. So I'm counting days. Two, I am also hopeful that this is something that will pass. And then we'll rebuild and build on marriage. It was so bad, if I can paint this picture. I remember I'd gone out of country when I was in Kenya. I'd gone out of country for I don't know, what did you call it? Yeah, an assignment. So I was out of the country. And I came back and I found one room had been converted completely. You know that movie War Room? Is that War Room? Yeah, I know there's one room, that one of prayer. And at that time when my wife talks about there was relief, the level of prayers that she was doing.
Yeah.
I came into that room and I found all these sticky notes of prayers. Like she had sticky note of every day and the pain and stuff. I walked into the room, I was just reading those prayers. And now it's like you're praying, she's praying to God, but you're reading these and you're like, man, she's narrating all that and stuff. You walk out of that room, you don't know how to support. But I want to say that there's power in prayer.
Yeah.
That there is power in prayer. So what was support like for me? I don't even know. Even to date, I don't know what it is like. But I think that mentally, his family was very, very crucial. I mean, her siblings, her friends.
Yeah.
My friends are male, so I can even send them there because this is a very personal, intimate situation. So her friends really came through for us. And I think the moment I saw her in a better place, I would also get into a better place. But the journey just began. So
Right.
she
Now, you've been diagnosed, it's endometriosis. You have a kind of a picture of what it is. You've lived the symptoms. So what are some of the symptoms of endometriosis? Kind of from what
actually,
you went
what is
through.
endometriosis?
What is endometriosis? Yeah,
Even
exactly.
me, I don't know how to answer that question.
And before that, Ezra, you said something about support, and you didn't know what support looks like. I know we mentioned in this podcast that ask for support, but to be on the other side, you might ask someone for support, but they really don't know what support they need. So if someone kind of pulls back or doesn't give you an answer, it's because they probably don't even know what that support looks like. Just a caveat. Now, what is endometriosis?
So let me back up a little. So I had 2 diagnoses done. The first one was done in Kenya when I came to the United States, and I still had the severe pains. Of course, I was relieved when I was in Kenya, thinking that this pain has gone completely. Little did I know that it's something progressive and grows back. I came to the US, the pains were severe, and I had to see a gynecologist. But I told him, hey, I've been told I have endometriosis. Can you treat me? In my head, I'm like, it's the US. They told me all the solutions are in this country. We have all the solutions in this country. So he said, you know what? I can't actually bank on another doctor's diagnosis, especially in Africa. So we have to go back in again. So we went back to the theater.
Now this is year 2.
Yes.
Every year there's one.
So I did the first surgery in November. I came to the United States in December. By June, I was going through second surgery. He did the surgery and confirmed endometriosis. But then again, sitting in that office after operation, he says, there's actually no cure and you have to manage it. So let me explain what endometriosis is.
Can I jump in there?
Of course, Ezra.
Surprisingly. Surprisingly, I meant to use that word. Every time she's gone for those surgeries, for some reason I'm not there.
Yeah.
I'm out for assignment. So when the third one comes, I want to be there because this story goes on. That one is coming. It's not it's a matter of time, right? But I'm out of town, and she's new in this country. Her friends are not there anymore. She's now with a newfound family. Of course, not new in the sense that you know that's my mom, but you've never lived together, you know. Yeah. So she's there. I'm the only support system that she has. And for this assignment, again, I'm out of state. I had booked it way ahead of time. It's confirmed. I had to go. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, she's being broken down. I mean, this information is being told to her. And I'm not even there to support. Oh, you know how terrible you feel like.
Oh man,
that's so terrible. That's like anyway. Let me not say what it is. So, anyways, B.
So I go through the surgery, and then the doctor says, "Yes, you have endometriosis." So of course, the usual drill. What is endometriosis again? So endometriosis. When it comes to endo, like I think Nancy had mentioned it in the episode last week. It's commonly called endo. So let me use endo. When it comes to endo, the medical community actually has more questions than answers.
What?
Yes. Yes. It's a mysterious disease or condition. So
now you can imagine her pausing, and then me, I'm asked.
Yeah, so most of the times Ezra is even asked what is endometriosis. I just look at him and laugh because like all these years, you don't know what endo is. It should be like at the tip of your fingers. So I've said endometriosis in the medical community has more questions than answers. So I'm not a doctor. I won't sit here and tell you the nitty-gritties of it. I'll just tell you what I have lived. So endometriosis is actually the lining, the cells similar to the lining of the uterus grows outside the uterus.
Are they supposed to grow inside?
Cells similar to the lining of the uterus grows outside of the uterus.
Yes, ABC.
If you go to primary or primary.
You see, this is what don't explain it.
Did you just witness a moment in the Moraras family?
Yeah,
I blame it on the confusion.
And let me point something here. The Moraras requested us to make it a light moment because they are. I know we've talked about this, and you guys say that you right now you look at it and you laugh about it. Yeah. Because you've come to terms with what God has given you and you understand where God wants to lead you. So you don't want sympathy from us.
No.
You don't want sympathy. So that's why...
No. We're here to help people understand that you are a father who has a daughter, you have a wife, you are aspiring husband, you have a sibling, and
have a friend.
You don't normalize pain.
Yes.
Don't make it look like everything is okay. And my wife and her friends who have gone through this, they call each other the endo warriors.
Amen.
So if they're already warriors, all we need is to be a blessing to others by sharing this.
Yeah, so endometriosis is a situation where the cells similar to the lining of the uterus grows outside. And when I say outside, it can be anywhere, as in literally anywhere. It's a mysterious progressive disease. It's chronic. Yeah.
So let me...
when she says anywhere...
I Googled something.
Dr. Google.
Endometriosis is a condition where tissue similar to the inner lining of the womb, endometrium, is found elsewhere. When she said it can grow anywhere.
Yeah.
Usually in the pelvis, around the womb, ovaries, and fallopian tubes. It is a very common condition affecting around 1 in 10 women.
Yes.
You are more likely to develop endometriosis if your mother or your sister has had it.
Now that's good information. I'll use it next time.
Yes.
But also when she says outside, I have heard her say, based on the research she has done and she shares with me,
Yeah.
is that when it says anywhere, it can be anywhere. It can be very rare cases. It has grown to the lungs, even to the brain, to the rectum, all these parts of the body. And once it spreads there, it literally. B, you say how you've been telling me these stories.
So,
I should have just started there. Yeah.
so growth outside of the uterus can grow anywhere, just like Kenan has explained from Dr. Google.
Yes.
We all went through that. Dr. Google, oh my goodness, it can kill or or build you up. So Ezra has said it grows anywhere. Ovaries, rectum, anywhere. Literally, it can grow in your legs, in your eyes, in your head, in your lungs. So imagine that when you're having your period, of course, you shed blood, and then, as in that process of, I don't like calling it periods. So the men, at times we call it anti-flow.
Teachers. It sounds
It's
very.
called anti-flow. Being very, very modest here. So, and it comes with all the clans. So when you're bleeding, so whatever happens in the uterus, the bleeding that happens in the uterus, wherever it has grown, wherever this endometriosis has grown, it's mimicking the bleeding elsewhere. So let's say if it has grown the side of your ovaries, if you're bleeding inside during your menstrual cycle, your ovaries outside where it has grown is also bleeding. So
if it's in your brain during a
Yes.
cycle, you're also.
if it's in your lungs, it mimics the same thing that happens during your normal cycle. But what happens in those other areas where endometriosis has grown is that it has nowhere to go to. So it keeps growing and growing. It's bleeding and kind of forming a scar tissue. Bleeding and forming scar tissue. So it has nowhere to go and builds up.
Wow.
Not a mimi. I've
Good
learned.
information. Me too.
But it's
Scary.
it's scary. It's scary because the moment and just context, last summer my wife started having these sinuses, and all this, and it's like randomly. Then recently it's been more of her struggling to breathe. Once you have all this kind of information, you're starting to fear, could it be that it's spreading, that's inhibiting, all that. So there are fathers who don't want to talk about, what did you call it? Inflow.
Anti-flow.
Anti-flow.
Anti-flow. My mind is racing and running here.
I wish we had video.
Inflow.
Inflow. Oh boy. Listen, we can coin that term too, and that can be famous.
Yeah.
But having said that, imagine you as a male figure trying to downplay what women are going through. Imagine you, Nancy and Kenan, when the doctor said you have endo. Imagine if that, you can look at it and say something small. You never know if because it grows and it spreads. And all that. So this is why, again, we want to bring this back to say it's not a moment to feel bad for us. It is a moment to sit down and realize that 1 out of 10 women are going through this. And these women in society and community, they're expected to be normal, to participate 100%. They're expected to live up to the standards. But you don't know what they're going through. And there are men who will not be open to come and have this conversation. And so eventually, families are strained, marriages are strained, society has all these, what do you call it? Society has stigma and all those kind of things. So if you're listening to this session, please and you are a woman, or you are a brother or a husband, you have a daughter, and you hear this, do not normalize pain. Listen to your body, because it's communicating something. It's communicating something.
Yeah.
I think that way I sounded.
You
I know what I'm saying, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think it's been a tough journey, and you're still going through it. But I know I have a lot of questions, man. I want to know now, this pain that you are told is gonna end after marriage. Is it? And you said it's progressive. Is it still there? I want to know how are you managing this pain? I want to know, where are you right now? And if I have a sister who's going through this, my wife goes through that, how do I get information and how do I get help? And I want us to maybe in the next episode to talk to that little girl who cannot voice that pain to their parents. In Kenya, I know in Kenya you were blessed that your mother could talk to you, but there are kids who don't even have sanitary pads, let alone the pain that they're going through. So I want us to kind of just bring that home in the next episode. So you gotta stay tuned for episode number 5, which is part 2 of Ezra and Beryl's story. And we're focusing here on women's issues, although Ezra seems he knows that. Yeah, right. But yeah. So stay tuned for part 2 of this series, and we'll come back to you next week, and we'll kind of bring this home and just make it personal and talk to the people that are going through this and how they can get help. That was the Amazing Truth Podcast.
This is the Amazing Truth Podcast. The Amazing Truth Podcast. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and Stitcher. Like us on Facebook at the Amazing Truth Podcast. The Amazing Truth Podcast. Real issues, real talk.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Amazing Truth Podcast. We hope you were blessed as you listened. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. God bless you, and see you on the next one.